Abatandi Bebola, welcome. Good evening. It is Monday Night Football on Soweto TV. Much to reflect upon after match day 4 at the weekend, and there's a lot in the news cycle. But we start the show on a sad note. This morning, news coming in of the passing of Anele Ngcongca, who died in a car accident early this morning. The former Mamelodi Sundowns player was on his way to joining AmaZulu on loan for the season, capped 53 times by Bafana Bafana and having won the PSL 3 times with the Brazilians, helping me to kind of break down his impact on South African football. I have my panel that is made up of award-winning journalist Velile Mnyandu. We've got former goalkeeper Schwabe Walters of Maritzburg United, and of course from Sokala Duma joining us is Mazola Molefe. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Let's start in terms of the impact of this player, Velile. Anele, obviously now, known more for his time at Mamelodi Sundowns, but he's had a long, storied career.
Good evening, Kamza, gents, and also to the viewers. It's been a very tough day for the footballing family. Oqala masicho sithi siphose amazovelwano kusapho lakwaNgcongca. Kwakhona kwakufuthi ke nakwabo bazitshomi zakhe ngakumbi ababedlala naye Mamelodi Sundowns nakubafana bafana napha apho besefike khona ngokumaZulu. It's been a very tough day. When I look at I just not a few hours ago I was with his former colleague at Sundowns, Thulani Thuswa, and he was also telling me that Coach Pitso is taking it very badly. These developments. Now you'll understand that Anele was not really looking to come back in the country. When I spoke to him a long time ago, he said he wanted to come back to South Africa just to retire around 35, 36, But such was his bond with Coach Pitso from at Bafana Bafana, that in 2016 when Coach Pitso wanted him to come back, he didn't think twice, And at the time, he still had some offers from Asia and also from some European countries, especially in Turkey. But he came back to play for Sundowns. And he's one of those rare players that we've exported, having never kicked the ball in the PSL. Because I remember the time he was playing for FC Fortune in the first division, a club which was jointly managed by Colin Key, the former coach of Hellenic, who also happened to be the agent of Quentin Fortune at the time. And yes, but one of the things that Anele used to say is that growing up at Cooks and Kokuletu in Cape Town, there were players who were more talented than him, But some of his friends, he would say that some are in jail, some passed on, because they were involved in other things outside the game.
Sure.
And this led to Colin Key taking him out of Cape Town to Simonstown, And that's where now the talent got to be noticed, So, and I mean, spending a decade in Europe at Arce Gang, having been there from the age of 20, so the dedication was there, I think most of us, we all agree, when it comes to Anele, the professionalism, Anele, sometimes you not see him with the armband, but he was that captain.
Sure.
On the field. He was that extra coach. Even at Sundowns, Coach Pitso would marvel, having him as a senior player.
Sure.
But he will also tell you that Anele is the extra coach. He coaches, and you could see him even when the camera cuts to him. He's busy, with his teammates. But look, I've dealt with him, especially in the last 2 years. I've not even been interviewing him because I considered him as a younger brother.
Sure.
We spoke about a lot of things away from the field of play. And he always had that vision of giving back as well, I mean, at Bafana Bafana, I remember we were in Gabon en route to the AFCON in 2015 to Equatorial Guinea. Mazola was there. You know, amongst some of the boys who would always sit around when Anele is there, and the young players, they would sit around him. Siyabonga Nhlapo was there,
Right.
but there was this player, Bongani Zungu. You know, Bongani would come to Anele and say, Tata, I'm going to follow you to Europe. I want to play in Europe.
Sure.
You know, and Anele was playing UEFA Champions League at the time, and Zungu is there today.
Huh.
So he's more than just he was more than just a footballer.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, the tributes are coming in from as far as his former teammates at Genk, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Thibaut Courtois, and of course amongst cheer, there's a lot of, you know, just an outpouring of love and support. How was he as an individual? Because from the game, you know, players are always seen as reserved, but you had access to him. When you wanted to speak, he would allow you to speak with him, and he was an affable person. Tell us about that side of him that maybe people didn't see outwardly.
Yeah, I think in recent years, and I'll go back to when he was in Europe, but when in recent years when he was at Sundowns, you know, sometimes you get invited to a media open day, and the media officer says, you know, you can go ahead and request an interview with any player that you want. You know, you get the ones that, you know, they shake their heads, they don't want to talk, they go in straight to the dressing room.
Right.
But there's Anzo, you know, the the eldest statesman, if you like, of all of the players at Sundowns, ready to do interviews with everyone, you know. And that's had always been his approach. You know, like Velia was saying, he would travel with the national team, playing AFCON qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers. And sometimes when you are stranded for interviews and the rest of the prima donnas in the national team don't want to give you interviews, you can just say, Anzo, please, man, another one.
Sure.
And Anzo would be available to do it for you. I remember when he moved, when Genk loaned him to France, I think it was a few years ago, I can't remember exactly, just before he joined Mamelodi. It might have been 2017 or it might have been 2015 or 2014. I called Anzo. He was in transit from Belgium to go to France, you know. And I've had interactions with players abroad before when you're asking, desperately needing an interview, and they just don't give you the time of day. They are too busy, you know. They blame the time difference. But not Anele. You know, Anele spoke to me, and I could hear that he's got bags and he's, you know, going to sign his new contract, but he's giving me the time of day. You know, in fact, he texts me back to say, Dada, you can phone back, you know.
Wow.
And then I'm phoning him back. He gives me an interview, great, done and dusted. Even when he came back home, he similar approach. And people always think Anele reserved or whatever, but whenever we're traveling in camp, you know, you'd get there, Anele is the one that's doing most of the talking, you know. So, yeah, you know, unfortunate that, especially in the manner that in which he passed on, which is a regular occurrence on our roads in South Africa,
and with
footballers in South Africa. But, you know, I think we were saying off air, that story that was written by Daniel Mutwagai in the City Press I remember it's 28th of June, where he, in an interview again with Anele, who was so open about everything, he tells Daniel that, look, you know, I'm not playing football for money. I've got 23 million rands saved, waiting for me when I turn 35 in my Belgian insurance scheme or retirement scheme. You know, so he was 33, he was 2 years away from getting that money. If you're a footballer, you're thinking how footballers die without a cent in their pocket. You're thinking this guy was set for life.
For sure.
You know, as soon as he retired, 23 million. And that's just counting from his time abroad. Not even counting the good package that he would have obviously been on at Mamelodi Sundowns since he joined in 2016. So he was set. He was ready to go, and then it's just so sad. I mean, it's been a tough day for us in the football fraternity.
Shoaib, I mean, all of this kind of just speaks to someone who seemed to be the consummate professional, you know, to have such a sustained time overseas, come back, still play at a high level and contribute to a successful team like Mamelodi Sundowns. It kind of reads to me like the ideal career that you'd want as a footballer. That international exposure, come back and become a local legend among Brazilian fans here. I mean, you know, could he have done better? It doesn't seem like it on the outside.
No, I think he, first of all, I'd just like to send my condolences out to his family. for me, he was the model professional when it comes to obviously looking at how you can retire with comfortably and obviously with good management. It's a sad day, like everybody's saying, but for me, they both are telling the truth when it comes to how humble he was, because I can only speak from my experience with him in the 2010 World Cup. We obviously shared similar backgrounds. I'm from Grassy Park, and he's from Guguletu, where you get outside distractions, and we both were, used football. And he then passed it on to the likes of Bongani Zungu, and he was instrumental in a lot of other younger players. So that's why I'm saying it's very sad, and it's a sad day, but we should also try and use this as an eye-opener. We know there was eye-openers before, but we should again now be reminded, and other footballers in the fraternity should be reminded of, certain decisions that are made, and how to conduct.
For sure. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your reflections. We're going to take a short little break, after which we'll resume with the rest of our show. But yeah, from us here at Monday Night Football on Soweto TV, from our viewers and everybody here, we send our condolences to the family of the late Anele Ngcongca.